The B&O engineer, a young guy, was excited to be on the westbound express that evening, heading out from Grafton, West Virginia to Clarksburg and Parkersburg. Everything went smoothly until they made it past Clarksburg. As the train neared Silver Run Tunnel, the engineer suddenly saw a woman in a white dress standing on the tracks, illuminated by the headlight and the half moon. Panicking, he slammed on the emergency brakes, but he knew he couldn't stop in time. He hoped she'd jump off the tracks, but instead, she seemed to glide away from the train. When the train finally stopped, he and the fireman jumped off and ran toward where she had been, but she had vanished into a thick fog ahead. The conductor, confused by the emergency stop, joined them to search the tracks, but they found nothing and continued the journey. The young engineer had this route every other night, so he started asking around. No one else on the crew had ever seen the woman. By the time his next run came, he convinced himself it must have been just a patch of fog or something like that. But the next time he was on the express heading toward Silver Run Tunnel again, she appeared. This time, she seemed more real. He noticed details like her golden slippers, jet black hair, and a jeweled brooch on her gown. He hit the emergency brakes again. Once the train stopped, he, the fireman, and the conductor searched, but she was gone again, with no trace left behind. They didn't want to hold up the express any longer, so they blew the whistle and carried on. The woman didn't show up again for a month or so until the next half moon. Once more, the young engineer saw her standing at her usual spot. This time, he stopped the train, blew the whistle, and continued on. But then a strange moan echoed in response to the whistle. After that, the third delay was too much. The young engineer was taken off the express run and reassigned to a freight train. A new engineer, O'Flannery, took his place. For a month, O'Flannery had no issues, but then one night he saw the woman too. The fireman told the young engineer about it. It was a clear autumn night when O'Flannery saw her, hit the brakes and ran after her, but she disappeared into a sudden fog, the only fog that night, and it quickly faded. O'Flannery was shaken up, and after the train resumed, he thought he saw her again, once on the tracks and later reflected in the firebox doors. He was so disturbed that he muttered he'd run her over if he ever saw her again. O'Flannery's next run became legendary on the B&O. He did see the woman again, but this time he didn't stop. He drove straight through her,